X-Pac 12360, featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your hosts, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360. Oh fuck! I don't want to. I'm just gonna get this part out of the way. Not even. That's not even the right way to put it. Get this out of the way. My children's mother passed away this week. We were still legally married. We were separated since 2002. Her name is Terry, and she fought really hard the last few years to try to get better. And you know, when you try over and over again, and you keep failing, and you really give it an honest effort, sometimes you just go fuck it, you know, and all the collateral damage that happens around you because you just can't seem to fucking get this right. And I've been there. I felt it. I never thought I was going to come up out of this shit myself. But you just finally, and I've been there too, where you just go fuck it. Obviously, people know my story. But, you know, I just think she had enough fighting. I don't know. Look, I don't want, this show is for people to escape and to, you know, to forget about the things that, you know, that bring us down in the real world. And not that this isn't the real world, but, you know, and the things that divide us. This show is to make people forget about those things, but it's really hard. I can't not talk about this, so I'm going to get, like, you know, I just want to acknowledge both of my children, Jesse and Caitlin, and the amazing job they've done and holding it together and stepping up. And I'm not there. I'm 2,000 miles away here doing the show. I'm going to, a little bit later on, I'm going to get on a flight and head that way so I can be with them. And the fact that my children had to they had to break the news to their 7 and 12-year-old little baby sister and brother, and watch them lose it. And it's just, God damn, you know things are you know what's going to happen. You know this person isn't going to make it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's it's like most helpless feeling in the world, you know. And now I know what a lot of people felt like that loved me, you know, when I was all fucked up. And I fucking, for some reason, I'm still here. So, anyways, you know, shit. I love you, Terry. I you know, hadn't talked to her in years. Actually, probably 4 years or so. There was, you know. Anyways, she was a good lady. And she tried. She really did. And she never stood a chance. I mean, she was hurting from before I even met her. You know, she had one of the worst childhoods I've ever heard of. And just the fact that she, you know, anyways, all right, look. I'm going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some news, and then we're going to hopefully have Road Warrior Animal on, one half of the greatest tag team of all time. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. I guess we're going to talk about a little news Denise.
Yes,
What's going on in
we
wrestling?
are. So, as always, wrestling Twitter, whatever you want to call it, has something to talk about this week because, unfortunately, Liv Morgan did get injured on Raw, unfortunately, at the hands of Brie Bella. As always, you obviously would know this, Sean. You never want to be accountable for someone's injury. But what happened is Liv Morgan suffered a concussion from 2 yes kicks from Brie. During a 6-man, it was the Riott Squad versus the Bellas and Natalya, and unfortunately, so what happened was Brie had a series of kicks. I believe I counted it was like between 5 and 6 or so. It may be wrong on the sure number, but the last 2 kicks is basically what did it for her. She was knocked unconscious. You can see her body kind of go limp, and unfortunately, she continued the match. So
they got her out
good
of
for
there,
her, but at the same time, there is that argument that maybe she should have been taken out considering that she had a concussion. We still don't have complete details on this, but I don't know, what is your take?
Well, the natural instinct when you get concussed, when you get knocked out, as soon as you come to is to fight, is to get up and want to keep going. And it's, I don't know, have you ever been knocked out? No, it's really a weird experience because you all of a sudden are laying on the ground and like there's this deja vu thing happens every time I have a concussion. I don't know if anyone else out there that's been knocked out a bunch of times can relate to that, but like every single time, even like last year in the UK, I got knocked out and it was the same thing. All of a sudden I'm on the ground, on the mat, having like deja vu like thing going through my head, and I was like, oh shit, I got knocked out again. I just knew it, But anyways, it's a tough call in a situation like that on live TV, and everyone's in the moment. And look, I saw a clip of that, and it looked like, to me, it just looked like the last one caught her, like because she was registering, the kicks when she would get kicked, like. You register, you sell, but part of the sell is the register where you're moving. And so like, it was just like their timing just got messed up. It looked like to me. And as she was coming back down from registering the kick, she got kicked with the last one. It looked like just the last one's what knocked her out to me. I could be wrong.
Her head her head seemed to be a lot lower on that one than the previous kicks. I'm not quite sure why, but
Well, shit happens. Like we're, and no one means to do that.
Right.
Some people, even though they don't mean it, they're a little bit careless, and they don't, like back in the day, that a lot more, like some people didn't give a shit. They would take liberties on you or just be reckless with you, just because they want to get over or want their shit to look good.
Well, one of the other arguments being made is, what about the referee? The referee, Brie still dragged her to the corner. She turned her around, dragged her to the corner, obviously to kind of get her out of the way. But do you think that the referee should have done something sooner rather than later and wait until she was dragged all the way into the corner? Do you think that is the right protocol?
I'm not going to fault anyone for not doing anything if it wasn't part of the protocol. However, like this might be a good learning experience to start training the referees on what to do. I don't know if they already do. It's like I haven't been, like there. I haven't been present for, the things that go on a daily basis in WWE for quite a while. But, that would be something I'm pretty sure that they're probably already talking about, actually.
Yeah.
Knowing them.
Well, do you think the ref should have counted 3? Because she went for the pinfall after she knocked her out, and you could see he's like, and
She's still
Liv kicks out.
Somebody should have been thinking like when if you were making the cover, somebody should have been coming in there to make the save.
Yes.
But people are so, well, that's not part of the script. That's not part. That wasn't laid out in the back. So but that's where we need to start, like being able to veer from. You can veer from the beaten path and still get back on the path. And I don't think people know how to do that.
What
you know,
about the
if they have
fact
to
that she
veer off the
still came
path, they
back?
go, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Huh?
What about the fact that she was still able to finish her match? You know, do you think that should have been like, no, let's not let her go in and finish this match knowing she's not completely there right
Yes.
now?
Yes.
But I know that the mentality is to continue doing your match.
Yeah, but the mentality is wrong with what we know today.
Oh yeah.
With what we know today, that's not what you do. And there's, you know, I commend people for wanting to keep going and pushing through and, you know, and all that, but there's no valor and destroying yourself out there, you know, and I just,
Or possibly
we can't,
hurting someone else.
yeah, we can't encourage that anymore.
I give Ruby Riott credit though. She clearly is the veteran of those three, and she took control at that point when it was obvious that Liv Morgan was injured, and you know she did what she could to.
Well, you know, some people are better at thinking, you know, and critical thinking during situations than others are, you know. So good for her.
Yes.
I didn't see the whole thing, but I'm happy to hear that.
It
Hopefully
makes
it's
me
only,
think
you
of
know.
Juice Robinson when we had him on and he talked about in his tryout match, he got knocked out and he just said, cover me. And all the agents were like, that's amazing. This guy knows. Because he was like, I can't do anything. I'm knocked out. Just cover me.
Brilliant.
So just that mentality. When she went for the pin, I thought the ref was going to count the 3. But then the instinct of kicking out, and then like you said, no, we're off track. We need to get back on track. This is where we need to end up here.
And clearly Riott Squad won, so that wasn't the plan for them to get pinned. But,
Yeah, but so what's the big outrage over?
So the thing that I've been seeing on Twitter is obviously, so there's the people that are like, get Brie out of the ring. She's dangerous. She's sloppy. She's this and that. That's what people are saying.
like, people have
Then
been-
there's other people that are saying that they are treating her differently than the men. For example, if a man were to injure somebody, okay, it happens. It's wrestling. But because it's Brie, people are losing it. So, you know, there's the two forces are clashing on Twitter, I guess you can say, in terms of, you know, everybody's trying to point a finger sort of deal.
Because, you know, this thing that we all love so much called pro wrestling that used to unite everyone, of course, everyone's going to veer out to like, I got my side, you got, you know, it's, somebody got hurt and it was an accident. And Brie Bella's both of the Bellas are very competent in the ring, you know? Yes, when you've been out for a long time, yeah, you're going to be a little bit rusty. But they bring a lot to the table. And
Brie owned up to it immediately afterwards.
yeah. So I don't know what to tell her. As a performer that's been knocked out by many people, try not to be any more outraged than the person that actually got knocked out. How about that? For starters.
There you go.
So, all right, next.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on September 30th, New Japan returns to Long Beach at the Walter Pyramid for New Japan Fighting Spirit Unleashed, and they just recently announced the match card. They have 9 matches. I think it looks pretty good so far. Some of the matches, the main event will be Ishii and Okada versus Ibushi and Omega. Juice Robinson will be taking on Cody for the IWGP US title. The Bucks will be facing the Gorillas of Destiny. Ospreay and Marty will be going up against each other, which I think the last match they had was a 5-star match, so that's one of the matches to look forward to as well. And there are still a lot more matches that are
And
going on.
there's a lot of people that are pissing and moaning about this whole
Well,
thing.
there's a few people that are upset because they rather see, you know, Kenny Omega versus Hiroshi Tanahashi on this card versus seeing Kenny
they
in
want
a tag
WrestleMania,
match.
huh?
Exactly. They want big stuff, right? Because, you know, New Japan coming to Long Beach is, you know, special because we're special, I guess you can say.
So Omega and Ibushi versus...
So it's Ishii and Okada versus Ibushi and
That's
Omega.
not special?
I mean, it's special to
Sounds
me, but
pretty
some
damn
people,
special to me.
Yeah, but they rather see like Wrestle Kingdom sort of stuff.
They
I guess
want
you can
all in
say.
New Japan style is essentially what you're saying.
There you go.
I see. I think the card, just the stuff you mentioned to me earlier. We were talking about this. I'm like, who can bitch about that?
Yeah.
On paper, like, if you know, like, how the chemistry of people with each other, and like, you know, the possibilities here of the great stuff.
And the tag
that you're
matches, I
gonna
mean,
see.
you got Roppongi 3K, Kazarian and Daniels are going to be involved. I mean, the start to finish, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Okay. So
And Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, who we talked to last week, so
I
wait for him.
think it's going to be great show. I think to me personally, I think they returned it to Long Beach too soon. That's just my opinion. Like I was when I heard they were already going to be here this week, I'm like, what?
So do you think they should have just done a different city, or do you mean U.S. too soon,
No,
or do you mean
US
California too soon?
U.S. too soon, because like when they knew these shows, people come from a lot of different places.
Cow
and
Palace.
they just did Cow Palace, freaking right up the road, 5 hour drive from here.
Yep.
People drive that to see New Japan, but not every goddamn month.
Yeah,
You
no, I
know?
feel you.
Shit.
Especially if
Sorry.
you went to All In. Like if you did New Japan and NorCal, and then you went to All In, you're
and I
not
have an
gonna get
idea.
support this.
Like, let's try to like this great like health that the industry is experiencing right now. Let's try to properly like take care of that and not just strip mine the fuck out of it and just run everything into the ground. How about that? I know the temptation is there for the profit, motive, and I get it. It's about money, and the boom's only going to last so long. But you can extend it somewhat, when you don't just run it into the ground. It just that's why it's the frequency, not the freaking card. It's the frequency. I think that makes something not special.
Well, as of right now, from what I've heard, the tickets are not yet sold out for this show. And last time at the Walter Pyramid, I was there, and there was some empty seats. Unfortunately, it's a great venue.
Seats about 5,000.
I'm not sure on the number on that, but I can tell you that there has been a difference in terms of the fans and the excitement and the electricity from their first show that they did in Long Beach. I forgot the name of the venue. By the convention center to the one that they did at the actual pyramid last time. But honestly, I personally feel that they probably just want to keep the hype going and keep us like wanting more,
4,000. 4,000 people they could seat. So.
I stand by that. I stand by what I say about that. And I just think that was a mistake to come back so soon.
Yeah.
This is my opinion, but a pretty educated opinion, I think. So, God, I didn't mean to sound like that.
You're right, though. I mean, people, like you said, Jimbo, people travel to All In. They travel to
but
Cow
people
Palace.
know I have an educated opinion. I don't need to fucking tell everyone. Jesus Christ. Sorry about the...
But that's why
Sorry
people
about
tune into
using
the
those-
show, though, to hear your opinion.
Why am I saying sorry so
This is
much?
your show. You say what you want.
Yeah.
All right, well, switching gears, Abyss is going to be inducted at the 2018 Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, October 13, the weekend of Bound for Glory, which is their biggest event of the year.
Okay. If anyone, to me, carries the banner for TNA Impact, whatever you want to call it, whatever incarnations, and that it's been Abyss. He's so incredibly talented. He's brilliant. That. I like the character he does the other one better.
I was just about to say that.
Unbelievable.
I'm not going to lie.
Unbelievable.
When he first showed up as Joseph Park, I want to say about 5 years ago, it took me 3 weeks to realize it was Abyss.
him.
That's how good he is. And it's so underrated. He is brilliant as Joseph Park. And Howard's a 6'8" man adorable. Yet he is.
Because that's how he is.
Yeah.
Because okay. Anyone, like anybody out there that knows him personally, I'm imagining his Hall of Fame speech. I just want to thank everyone. I hope everyone's not mad at me. I love you guys. Thank you.
An ideal
That's
speech.
how he is. That's exactly what. And I forget who was on one time, and I started talking like that. And they were, that's exactly how he talks. He's just the most wonderful guy you ever want to meet.
And when him and Jeremy Borash were training for their tag match about a year and a half ago, it was some of the most brilliant vignettes and funniest things I'd ever seen in wrestling. Their chemistry together was unreal. I can't say enough about Abyss, Joseph Park. He's incredible.
Good for you, my friend. And I want to have him on. Let's get him on.
Let's get
I've been
him
wanting to have him on for a long time, actually, because because of all the things I just said about him. That's why.
We need to.
Yeah. So, all right. What else?
Well, I think it's now time to take a break,
Are
actually.
you sure there's nothing else to talk about?
What do you want to add? We can talk about Jim Cornette. We have some news
Yeah,
from
let's talk about the
All right.
NWA 70th because that's a big deal, and I want to support them as much as I can.
We had Dave Lagana 2 weeks ago, I believe,
Well,
prior to
I thought it
2
was
weeks
last-
ago. No,
Oh,
we had
okay.
Jeff Cobb
Jeff Cobb
last week. So 2 weeks ago, we had Dave Lagana, who was talking about the NWA 70th show at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And we have some more news. Jim Cornette will be doing color commentary for the event, and Tony Schiavone will be calling the main event. And again, the show is October 21st in Nashville, Tennessee.
So Tony's not going to be calling the whole show, just the main event?
Yeah,
Why?
ML, he's a Major League Wrestling has him essentially full time, and so the NWA made a statement saying we thank MLW for allowing Tony to call this one match, the main event. And then whereas Cornette, as far as I know, he's going to be doing the rest of the event, and then of course Joe Galley will be calling lead. I think
from
for the
out
entire
here.
event. Yes.
Yeah, okay, that'll be great. And I always enjoyed Corny's color commentary. It's very colorful.
I can't wait.
And it fits. Corny can be a pretty divisive character in the industry, but I don't look at that. I mean, sometimes it's a little too much, but anyway, I don't even know why I had to say that.
I can't
I
wait.
was just gonna say it does. I'm happy to hear Corny on the color commentary. It's great.
And he and
good for him.
Schiavone are both going to be doing meet and greets. You can get tickets at NWA70.com. I can't wait. I'm going to be there for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, yeah.
Who else? They don't have any of the just the main event and the national heavyweight title tournament.
But
they
thus
are
far,
getting a lot of press, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, they're out there, they're spreading the word. Like, people are talking about it, which is obviously the end goal of every show or promotion that anybody wants to run,
Yeah, that's gonna. I wonder how the Nashville Fairgrounds is gonna look for the event. I wonder what they're gonna do with it.
I think it's going to look good. I like the venue. Ara Lucha
You
did
know
their
the
TV
venue,
taping there, and it was awesome. They set it up. It looked absolutely amazing.
yeah,
and you would never know looking from the outside.
No, I know.
Is it indoor or outdoor?
It's indoor.
It's indoor. Okay.
Yeah.
When you hear fairgrounds, you think
I mean,
outside.
because that building could look absolutely awful on TV, or it can look amazing. Because I've seen it both. When TNA first started and they were running from there, they were experimenting with different camera angles and like lighting and like when you have the hard camera like too high, it looks like shit. Like you have to be coming in at the proper angle, like 45 degrees or less. I'm getting a little I'm getting too technical on that shit.
No, but this is like all the experience you have and advice people
Yeah, but I don't
want
want to give up my trade secrets.
Okay.
I'm gonna save that so I can be
They can fill up the place essentially because they put the bleachers in and it looks really nice. They can fill it up. So I mean,
And
I
I
think
think they got
venue.
air conditioner in there. No, air conditioning.
Really,
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
and we
did.
can't forget Cody still has to face Willie Mack this weekend. So whoever the champion is after that match will face Nick Aldis.
Have Cody and Willie ever crossed paths in the ring?
No.
That's good. I would really love to see that.
And Willie Mack's the Hollywood Heritage Champion from Championship Wrestling. So if you have title versus title,
I
it's
mean,
kind of
he's just one of the most underrated guys in the whole entire industry.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He's the man.
NWA70.com.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break right now, and then we're going to come back with one half of the greatest tag team of all time, Road Warrior Animal. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. I'm honored to be joined over the phone right now by, I like to think that we've been friends for a long time, and he is one half of the greatest tag team of all frickin' time, and currently the host of the
What a Rush podcast.
Water Rush podcast. He's Road Warrior Animal. Make some noise.
Yeah!
Yes. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Sean, what's up, bud?
And thank you for coming on, man. I'm like, I wasn't like, that wasn't just kind words. I'm sincerely honored to have you on. And I was just thinking a little earlier, and I'm kind of jumping around here, but do you remember my bachelor party?
Yeah, vaguely. I think those brain cells might be dead.
Well, let me just tell you, it was you, Mike, Warrior Hawk, Darso, Kurt Hennig. We were at Brad Rangan's at his dojo.
Yeah, was that when Mike Patterson was there?
Yes. and Wayne and Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom, Mike Enos, and
I remember now.
And it was my bachelor party, but there was no women, there was no strippers, nothing like that. And it was just some we were drinking and some people were smoking some pot and actually somebody had some.
Bro, if I remember right, there was a lot of other hallucinogens.
I was just about to say somebody broke out a bag of mushrooms and it was the greatest, one of the greatest times and the most I've ever laughed in my entire life. Just a bunch of guys just belly laughing.
I was telling somebody that story the other day. I said, my stomach the next day hurt so freaking much from belly laughing. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I remember Hawk going up to somebody and saying, "Hey, he came up to me, Animal, where's your bag of mushrooms?"
Right.
And he goes, and he ate the whole bag.
Yep.
And then he looked at Mike Patterson and he said, "Hey, who invited you into my high?"
You have to know Mike Patterson. Like it's kind of inside baseball right now, but it's funny as shit to me because if you knew Mike Patterson. But anyways, yeah. And I'm I'm trying to roll a joint on the wrestling mat, and all of a sudden, boom! And Hawk just dropped this big elbow right on my back. I was like, oh shit!
It's a typical bachelor party. Yeah.
Yes. But Joe, you were like. That was one of the greatest, funnest times I ever had, and you're part of it, and I'm grateful for that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
That night goes down in my all-time top 3 probably in my life. I've never laughed so freaking hard in my life. You know? And in our business, there's been plenty of funny times where we laughed our ass off. You know, and that was one of them, man. It's just, of course, you can all chuck it up. God rest his soul to. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig.
Exactly.
One, he was always he was a shit stirrer without stirring shit.
Yep. No. Hey, and the thing is I got so much heat with the wife because it had nobody knew this when they planned the thing, but it happened to be her birthday. Oh shit. Anyways, but man, Joe, the first time I ever saw you guys. Besides TV, on TBS on the 605 show, was when, I guess the Georgia wrestling, kind of Florida wrestling, you guys came down and did a little tour of Florida, and you guys worked with Brett and Buzz Sawyer in the Bayfront Center, and I was a little kid, I was like 10 or something, I don't know, and I was freaking in awe of you guys, man. I don't know if I ever told you that story, but it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, man. We used to go down there and work every once in a while for Eddie Graham and his dad, and go down there and wrestle every once in a while. I remember Kevin Sullivan used to bring us in down there.
Yeah. Kevin told me and not to jump around, but Kevin told me a story about Battle of the Belts too. You remember that? It was you. It was you and Mike and Blackjack Mulligan versus Sullivan, Bob Roop, and Purple Haze.
Oh yeah, Mark Lonan. I remember that. Yeah.
Kevin told me that that Blackjack told him that if they sold too much for you guys, that they were gonna have to answer to him because he had an angle with them. Did you ever hear about that?
No, I never heard about that. but bro, it didn't matter because we were so freaking 110 miles an hour back then.
Yeah,
guys were going to sell anyway.
No shit, man.
I mean, but the funny story that Kevin told me about that whole time, because Hiro Matsuda owned that whole territory at the time, and he said, "Hey, we need to bring these guys in here to because we need to change our business." Florida Championship Wrestling at the time, Kevin told you, was about ready to go under.
Yep. Yeah, because Dusty left and was kind of mainly just in, Carolinas and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the only person they had was Mulligan. And then, of course, those guys kept attacking Mulligan. And then, then they attacked us one time. We went down there. And then, we teamed up with Mulligan. And I think we sold out the next 3 major shows there. And
for sure.
We sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
And that was the thing is they did these shows. They were like some of the first super shows, and they were syndicated. They were shown live, but they were to syndicated markets across the country, and they would bring Joe and Mike. They would bring the Road Warriors in for each one of these. Battle of the Belt shows, and it was what guaranteed that they would draw a house. Wow. Because I remember the first one, it was you and Mike. It was supposed to be versus Hansen and Brody, but Brody didn't show up, and it was Harley.
Jeez, I don't remember that one.
No.
But I know it was we wrestled Harley and Hansen in Cleveland, Ohio. And I remember the four of us beat the dog crap out of each other.
Yeah,
I think it was a bunkhouse stampede match or a chain match or something, because I never understand with that big freaking bullwhip thing and that bell.
Yeah, he cracked
he cut Hawk open up the bell.
When I was a little kid, he cracked me upside the head with the bull rope on the way to the ring. In the match that he worked with you and Mike, the one I'm talking about, it was in Tampa. It was like the night before Hurricane Elena came through Tampa. And like Martel was supposed to be there. Martel couldn't show up, and I don't know how you guys made it in.
Oh, I think now I remember that.
Yeah.
And now I remember that. Yeah, that hurricane came through. That's right.
Was Stan Hansen's eyesight as bad as advertised in the ring?
Oh, bro, he couldn't see a lick. I remember one time. I'll give you a funny story. We were in Atlanta in the Omni, and Hawk and I was only wrestled about a month, and of course, Dusty's there, and Dusty had been for a show, and you got a picture of it. I mean, Ed Sharkey, God bless him, was our trainer, but he really didn't teach us very much stuff.
Definitely not in the ring, that's for sure.
He never got in the ring with us.
Yeah.
He never got in the ring. So here we are. We hit the ring, and we're beating the dog shit out of Dusty, and Dusty had the scar on his head, with the butterfly bandage. He goes, "Open me up," and I said, what do you mean, open you up? He goes, yeah, there's nobody ever told us what to do. He goes, hit me in my cut. And I said, oh, okay, bam. Next thing you know, he was gushing. And Stan comes down to the ring. Well, at the time, Ole told us, listen, I'm going to send down Stan Hansen. Whatever you do, don't let him in the ring. Well, we didn't know he told Stan Hansen on a separate note, hey, no matter what you do, you get in the ring with the Road Warriors and you make them clear the ring.
Is that what happened? I saw it. I was just watching that on a YouTube clip, Joe. I swear to God, like the other night, I was watching that.
So when Stan goes to climb up into the ring and I catch him out of the corner of my eye coming in the ring, I hit the ropes like a freaking freight train, and I hit Stan so hard, I think he flew into like the third row.
Yeah.
And then he got so mad, he came back in with a chair, and he beat the dog shit out of Hawk and I.
Yeah.
I mean, bam, bam. And then to go back to how blind he was, he threw Hawk in for a clothesline, bro, and he hit Hawk right in the forehead, and Hawk was out cold.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. So I grabbed Hawk by his feet, and I pulled him out of the ring. I woke him up, and we went back to the locker room. He goes, holy shit, he hit me hard.
How was that?
Hawk was like one of those tough guys that could take a punch, but Stan was like 300 pounds, man. He hit him right in the freaking forehead, Yeah, he was blind. Stan couldn't see. He and Jim Duggan are probably two of the most blind guys ever in the ring with.
Hey, Joe, you're talking about Hawk being a tough guy, but like pretty much everyone from freaking Minneapolis in your crew was like, because I mean, when I first moved to Minneapolis from Tampa, and I got hooked up with Eddie Sharkey, we were just talking about, and that I heard the legendary stories of this. It was in Minneapolis. It was a bar called Grandma B's, and it was Joe, Mike, Hawk.
Rick Rude.
It's Rick Rude. I mean, you name it. Who all was there?
Well,
Joe?
you had Nord there. You had remember a guy Al Blake.
Vladimir
Vladimir Pietrov worked there.
Tom Cassett.
Once in a while too.
Tom Cassett.
Came out of there.
You remember T-Joe Khan?
Yeah, T-Joe too.
Yeah.
T-Joe would come out of there too, man. Yeah.
Wow. And so I mean, I would hear all these legendary stories of just the ass whippings that would be handed out if you screwed up in Grandma B's. It wasn't Norton there too?
Would literally, guys would try to come in with their colors on a lot of times. A lot of bikers,
Yeah.
We tell them, listen, man, you can't go over your colors, and you go to take off their leather jackets and their vests, and you have, biker will fight you to the death over that vest, So we say, listen, man, you can either take it off right now, or we're going to go have a discussion in the boss's office. And sometimes we'd have literally have to hang a guy by his ankles and shake him up and down, so everything would drop out of his freaking pockets. A freaking gun would drop out, or a knife would pop out, or I remember Tony Benacasa, the guy that owned the place.
Oh, man. Tony, yeah.
One time a guy mouthed off to him and he freaking took out his freaking, I think he had a 9mm and freaking shot it right next to the guy's head.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the kind of stories you heard about back then, yeah. Wow,
yeah,
man.
Listen, it was at Air City Bar. What are you going to do, right? It was right on with Street or something, Franklin.
Yeah, it was a matter of fact. It wasn't far down the road from the Hells Angels clubhouse. So no wonder they came in there a lot.
Yeah. It's funny. You remember Pat Matters?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat Matters was president of the
Hells Angels.
Minneapolis chapter.
Yeah.
Of Hells Angels, and he and I laughed about that a bunch of times. We didn't laugh about it at first, but he and I became good buddies afterwards, and we'd laugh. I was man, remember a bunch of guys used to come down to the bar there? He goes, yeah, no, man, it was kind of a crazy time.
Yeah, and they had this gym, and it was called Northside Gym, and it was the Angels. And didn't Norton own that at one time? Before Pete Moen?
Who owned it at first was Pete Moen.
Yeah, Pete Moen. And then he owned it like at the end when it was Minnesota Muscle.
Yeah. Pete Moen owned it. And, Pete Moen trained for. He was a Mr. Universe competitor and all that stuff. And then Scott Norton bought it after them. Scott Norton didn't grow up. He and Hawk didn't grow up far from that neighborhood.
Yeah, Henry High
Scott
School
Norton
guys.
Bought it. And then man, it was kind of crazy.
Wow. And geez, do you guys want to get in on this?
I heard you tell a story on an interview prior about getting kicked out of school because you flipped over someone's car. And that's all you said. I would like to hear this story.
I was in high school, and just like back then, like Sean was talking about, Robbinsdale had a parking lot with everybody. For some reason, McDonald's was the hangout.
Yep.
After a football game or something, right? And so there's one McDonald's in Minnesota, right by my high school was there, and the manager, he kept coming out and kicking us out of the parking lot. We kept saying, well, what are you kicking us out for, man? We're buying freaking 15,000 hamburgers from you and giving you business. And he wanted to kick us out for loitering. He kicked us off so much, I literally we tipped his car over on the side. He had a Volkswagen.
Nice.
We tipped it on the side. And he got real hot at me. And it wasn't so much getting in trouble from him. It was when my mother came down and get me out of jail that was a problem.
Nice.
Because my mom was freaking hot.
Hey, is that the McDonald's? Is that the same place where Kurt took the famous cheap shot on Mike through the car window?
No, that was a different McDonald's. I went to Irondale. Those guys went to Robbinsdale.
Right.
And Irondale was about, Irondale was off of Silver Lake Road in New Brighton. So, it was about 10 miles away. But, the McDonald's was another shot when, Robbinsdale had just got done a football game, and I think Hawk and a couple of guys from Henry High School came down to go grab some burgers. And, well, the worst thing you could do is have guys from a rival high school come down when there's 500 Robbinsdale people in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's when Hawk and he goes along and said, hey, Shrimp, what are you doing in our parking lot? This is our night. And Mike went and said something, and Kurt cheap shotted him through the window.
Yeah.
I don't think Kurt did remind that of Hawk throughout the years.
Oh, yeah.
WWF at the time.
All the time.
And he did, bro. I remember one time Hawk freaked out, and we were sitting by the pool. We had a day off in one town out in L.A. or somewhere, and Hawk jumps up and says, that's it, you stupid son of a bitch. I'm going to kill you right now for real, And he says, hold on. I'm only kidding, Then they would pull out another joint and they'd be happy.
Hey, right?
There you go.
Hey, Joe, you guys were like one of the only guys in your era that could just go anywhere you wanted to. We had the luxury at the time of having a guy like Ellering too, who said, listen, man, you guys have the power right now. You're at WWF at the time that was on USA Network, and we were on TBS, like you said. And then, when we did the thing with the AWA, it was all on ESPN. So we were one of the few entities that got to go on, ESPN TV and then TBS TV and, get to go all over the place. And then Ellering said, listen, I'm getting calls from promoters around the country. How about we go in there and start doing shots? And we said, yeah, man, whatever you think. And Hawk and I were smart because we trusted Paul. He had more experience than we did. And he said, let's just do what we can do. And then we start getting that little bit of that, I don't want to say power, but it was clout that we can go into an area that we go into Don Owens in Portland
and do an angle with Billy Jack and Sergeant Slaughter, and boom, next thing you know, we're in a sellout in Portland.
That's right.
Portland never sold out.
Never.
Or we go down to Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon, or the Rougeaus up in Montreal, or we would go to Tully Blanchard's dad, Joe Blanchard, down to San Antonio, and he had that, and do the same thing, and then Florida, like you talked about before, and it got to be pretty cool because we never really burnt ourselves out in one area,
Exactly.
Even though we would be working for Ole down in Atlanta, or we would be working for Vern in AWA, we would say, hey, okay, listen, Vern, here on this date here, we're going to Japan, and we would be gone for 2 or 3 weeks or a month, and then go do that, or we come back and say, listen, we can't work here for these days because we're working for the NWA for Crockett, what I mean? And it worked out good for it. That was actually the best part of the business for us because you never got bored. You never got burnt out. You get to go in other territories. You get to help out the business because you know the way it is, man.
Yeah.
Whether your first match or your last match, if you could put butts in seats to help everybody make money, that was the name of the game.
Which was your favorite territory to work at?
I think it has to be, in the States here, it would have to be the NWA days, I mean, back in the late 80s when, we would be in the same city, to say Philadelphia, as WWF would be, and then WWF would be selling out at the Philadelphia Spectrum. We would be selling out at the Civic Center. One held 24, one held 22,000 people the same night.
Wow.
And that was fun time in the business when we go to those major cities like that, But I think the NWA for me, the NWA or Japan for us, because it's about, this business is about getting treated with respect. And when we went over to Japan, there was never any headaches. It was always a respectful tour. It was always fun. And, and there was never no hang-ups or no attitudes. Business was business. And, if a guy needed to go over, you got him over. If a guy needed to get beat, he got beat. It just was what it was. It wasn't, the egos weren't like today's business was, someone goes through camp and they think they deserve to be champ the next day.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately, that's the way the business groomed guys today. But I think the NWA days, man, because we had great teams to fight too. We had the Koloffs, we had the Express, we had the Four Horsemen, and we had great guys with us that weren't selfish at all, so it helped.
Rick Rude and Manny Fernandez, you guys killed it with those guys. I love those matches.
Oh yeah, man, and just thinking they weren't even a top team, but both of them were great workers that knew how to help Hawk and I, because we were so green. I mean, Rick Rude was a talent above his years. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I mean,
if
Rick didn't, unfortunately OD, he would have been one of the top guys for a long time. He single-handedly pretty much made the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah.
And he never got the credit for it. Even when he went to WCW with Sting, he helped make Sting. Because people don't realize how close Sting came to not even making it in this business.
Really?
I don't know if he told you this, Sean. Jim Crockett came up to us. Back when the NWA and Crockett Promotions bought out the UWF, Bill Watts.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, Jim Crockett came to me and said, listen, man, there's this kid down there named Sting. He's got a painted face and kind of looks like you guys a little bit. And he goes, but if you don't want him to come in here, we won't bring him in. He literally asked me that.
Wow.
And I said, no, man. I said, why don't you bring him in? We'll put him with us in six-mans. We'll call him our brothers in paint for a little while, and then whatever Dusty has planned for him, we'll do.
So what was your first impression of him once you started working with him?
Who's that?
With Sting. Did you ever think that he would ever become what he did?
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew he had talent. I think what helped Sting was when he got in the singles matches against Flair. Flair taught him a lot.
Yep.
Unfortunately, sometimes, and Sean will tell you in this business, sometimes I think guys believe their gimmick a little bit. I think Sting got kind of caught up in that. You know what I mean? When this business is of entertainment and kind of, I don't know. I think sometimes he thought he was like the Hulk Hogan of WCW. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you get like that, and sometimes you don't. And Sean will tell you. I mean, there's over guys in our business and top guys, and then there's very few guys are in that, I want to say, legendary icon stage. You know what I mean? And I'm not.
Yeah, but I think you're talking about a guy like The Rock, like Austin, like Hogan, like that. Like, is that what you're talking about?
I mean, like there's a Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
There's The Rock. There's Hogan. There's like Andre, and for tag teams, people put Hawk and I in that category.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
There's no bigger.
Yeah.
Sorry, but there is.
Yeah, and then you have the other guys underneath, like a Triple H and a Sting and those other guys. That's no insult to anybody, but that's just the levels we have in our business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess even with Triple H, you may even, with his mind and everything, 'cause he's got a great mind for the business, you can even almost put him in that top category because of what he's done for wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's an argument to be made for sure. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's brought NXT out of the toilet. He's even more popular than WWE. You know, so he deserves that credit.
Joe.
You know, and I've always liked Paul. Paul's a great guy. You know, I've always got along great with him.
Hey,
but there's very few guys like that, and I think sometimes guys have a hard time appreciating or staying in their lane. I call it, at what level they are in this business, and they sometimes think they're bigger than anybody else. And evidently down the line somewhere, someone will always put you in your place. I mean, it always happens.
No doubt, right? So, like, and it might be easier to think you're more a part of making the magic happen when you're in there working with Flair every night.
Exactly. You know, Flair could have. We always kid around. Flair could have a great match with a freaking chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just mentioned NXT, and let's make the correlation with Crockett Promotions. You know, you and Hawk were victorious in the first 3 ever War Games matches. Take us back to before the first War Games ever. Was there a lot of prep involved, or because it was you and the Horsemen, you guys were all so great, you just kind of, what was the prep like for that? Were you nervous at all going into that?
To be honest with you, we didn't really even know what it was going to be like. We never even seen the cage over the 2 rings until we got there that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way wrestling was back then. You know, nowadays a guy will go to a simple TV taping and they're practicing and rehearsing their matches from 12 o'clock in the afternoon until they got to go out there that night.
Yeah.
We never even talked about the match.
Well, I can see how you could just go in there and just do, you have a basic idea, but back then, like, you could just go out there and just walk and talk.
Well, yeah, but we what it was back then is that and we learned right away from working. You got to understand. Hawk and I got thrust right into it from day one. We walked into Georgia Championship Wrestling, and they gave us the belts first day. So we were thrust into working with main eventers from the very get-go, and we learned that every audience has got a different temperature to it. And what I mean by that is every audience acts different to different things.
Yep.
So you can't treat them all the same, and I think the business has gotten caught up today. They'll treat them the same, and they're not. You just can't put the name of the marquee or the name of the company on the door and expect it to sell out.
Yeah.
You got to give the people a good show, too. And so we would go out there and feel it. Like, I mean, for instance, like, okay, I'll give you a little interesting thing. Like, yeah, we had our spots we would do with the 4 Horsemen that we knew we could do inside the cage, but you had to limit it because, I mean, hell, I could put my arm straight up and hit the top of the cage.
Yeah.
That's how low it was, and so, but when you get in there and you see 2 rings side by side, and there's about a 3.5 foot gap in between the 2 rings, and I decided last minute on the fly, I threw Arn Anderson across the ropes on both rings. I said, "Hey man, I'm gonna hit you like with a flying tackle." He said, "What?"
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah.
Who's gonna figure that? I mean, I was 315 at the time. Wait, but I'm gonna be able to jump over from one ring to the other ring in about a 6 foot span in the air and land and not even hit the ropes or anything. I mean. I was amazed I could do it, but your adrenaline was so pumped up because it was such a cool event that, and you got 40,000 people chanting, it was easy to get your adrenaline going and do. But, I mean, I never practiced that move. I mean, hell, man, I never even thought I could even do it. I didn't even think I was going to make it, but I think that part of myself scaring myself gave me that extra energy to go do it, try it anyway, Can you imagine, like, being out there in the middle of it and doing it, and then your toe gets caught on the top rope, and boom, you taking those. Oh, well, yeah. Listen, we've all made mistakes. I remember one time we were getting ready to do a TV match in North Carolina. You should Google this sometime, Sean. You'll love it. So Hawk and I decide with our spiked shoulder pads that we're both going to jump over the top rope at the same time. Well, Hawk goes before I'm ready. He goes over the top rope. By the time I slingshot myself over the top rope, the rebound of the rope came and hit me, and I did a freaking somersault over the top rope, landed on my spikes on the back in the middle of the ring, went to sit up, and My bottom spikes hit the bottom rope, and I go back down again. I was so pissed off. By the time the match started, I felt so sorry for the poor job guys in the ring.
Oh, because you take it out on them, right?
Oh yeah, they paid the bad price of it. Yeah.
Talking about your spikes, what was it like to travel with those things? Because you always hear you're never allowed to check your gear. So how is it like flying with those?
They're really kind of I tell everybody every time I take them to an event, it's kind of the worst and best thing. Best thing is fans love it. They love to put them on when I do appearances. I let them put them on now and let them feel how heavy they are and all that stuff. Bad thing is it's the biggest rib on myself because I have to unscrew all the spikes off, put them in my bag, pack them all up, travel with it again. There's no way I can go and have no bag to check on an airplane. Even if I'm just going for the weekend, I got to take the big-ass suitcase. And sometimes they get lost on flights, and my pain will be in the bag, and it could be the biggest headache. But then again, if it makes it, it's the greatest thing for the fan because they love those things.
I remember when you first broke those out. It was like '85, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Sean, we get that company Zubaz, that clothing company. It's in all the college football and NFL stuff.
Bob Truax, wasn't his name?
Yeah, Bob Truax and Dan Stock, my two partners, and we were doing a deal with Dan Marino and Jim Kelly, and we took pictures with Dan Marino because Dan Marino would wear a tux, and he would wear the Miami Dolphins Zubaz, right? And in the picture, and Hawk and I had white pads to match his pants and all this other kind of stuff, and so in doing that, I met a guy named Bobby Monica, and Bobby Monica's brother Kenny ran Riott Protective Power Equipment, and I said, man, I got this idea. So I called Teddy up and I said, can you send me some shoulder pads? He sent me like 8 pair of shoulder pads. And I had a buddy that worked at Honeywell. I said, can you make different size spikes? And I didn't even tell Hawk I made these things. I had a guy make me spikes. I sat in my garage and I drilled them all out myself. Whoa. And then I showed up. I said, Hawk, I got some new gear for us to wear. And I showed him the Hawk when I showed up on the road one day.
Nice. Well, I just remember
the reaction we got, man. The people loved them. So.
Oh yeah, and then on all the Zubaz, there was like a tag, and it had the Zubaz logo and a picture of Joe and Mike with the Zubaz pants and the shoulder pads on. Wow. And it was you guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
that was our logo, right? Dare to be different.
Yep. And rocking Zubaz with snakeskin boots, man. Hey, I've pulled it off.
Yeah, bro. Well, Hawk and I, one thing we were good at in our business, man, and it just came, some things you get teach, some things cut natural, was in promotional stuff.
Yeah. And
we knew right away we would bring, Sean, boxes of Zubaz in the locker room and just give them to the guys to wear.
Yeah.
And then when we were on TBS Studios, whenever we would do a rundown or do promos, Hawk and I would have Zubaz on. So if we were running down to attack somebody, we were heels, or save somebody, we were babyface, so we had Zubaz on.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and
we would incorporate in our promos. Hey, that's right, we're just like Zubaz. We dare to be different. It's working for us. And that kind of crap the people just started liking it and laughing at it. I mean, there's two big muscle-headed buffoons with mohawks that were opposites that, Hawk used to say, I remember, never forget Hawk asking Bill Watts, he goes, what if we get 2 hawks? The animal gets a normal mohawk, and I get the double one. So when we bend over, it looks like our heads can plug into each other. And
Is that what that was?
I said, a mohawk? Are you kidding me? I mean, at the time, before I cut my hair was as long as yours, Sean. I had fucking really long hair and shit. And then Hawk makes that comment. Next thing you know, I'm shaving my head.
Well, hey, do you remember a few months ago I found that match with you from Mid-Atlantic Wrestling before you were the Road Warriors? With you and Jack Briscoe? You didn't have the hair like that, but you still, I mean, obviously I could tell it was you. But yeah, man,
I look like one of the Village people, bro. I thought people thought I was going to break down in YMCA. I'll never forget the first time I got in the match. Rick Rude and I went to North Carolina. First Ollie Brothers in the WCW or George Championship. And then there was that big buyout going on with Jim Barnett and the Briscoes against Ole. So he said, listen, man, I don't want you to run any of this political nonsense. I'm going to send you to North Carolina. So he sent Rude and I to North Carolina. And I had to wrestle Rick Rude, my first TV match. And first thing they say to us, you guys are going to be doing a 20-minute Broadway.
Oh my God!
And Root and I looked at each other and we said, "What's a Broadway?"
You know what that is, right?
Said Sharky not telling us, what's a Broadway, and that means, 20 minutes straight through. And and I remember they announced to me when I had just those biker shorts there. He goes, "Here he is in this corner from Ireland, Joe Lauren."
Yes, it was Joe Lauren.
Ireland. Bro, wait, where do you? and Rude just broke out laughing in the middle of the ring, and Tommy Young's yelling, "Don't laugh! You can't laugh at that." Yeah, man, it was just funny how you go back and you think about it now, man. The learning experiences are freaking crazy.
It's you can go back and watch how, like, because you mentioned, okay, we were really green, and when you're trained by Eddie, you learn a lot, but it's not like the inside the ring stuff. So you guys got really good, really quick, man. Like, I noticed, like, how, like, and I imagine that just comes with working with so many great guys.
Oh yeah, man. Listen, Hawk and I always believe you're only as good as you are as the guy you're in the ring with, And if he's great, eventually you keep wrestling with him, you're gonna be great. And I mean, think about it, Sean. When I first got in, I had Tommy Rich, Mr. Wrestling #2,
Yep.
Dusty Rhodes, Stan Hansen, guys like that, Jack and Jerry Briscoe. You can't help not to learn from them guys.
Mm-hmm.
And Brad Armstrong, Tim Horner, guys that could Armstrong, one of the great wrestling families in our business, learning from those guys, and it just helped us out a lot and helped us learn quicker. Yeah, of course, you don't really get the psychology of the business down, and it takes a few years to do that. But as far as being there for every move and everything, Hawk and I had the ability to be right there when we need to do the high spots the proper way.
Yeah.
And I think that helped us. And then when they start letting us talk, our delivery of the promos were almost so much a shoot and from the heart that people start saying, yeah, I feel that way a lot of times, and they just related to us because we never talked above the people's heads.
Yeah. And
I think that's important.
Go ahead.
What was your experience like at All In this year? Because not only did you appear, you really kicked things off, and the entire arena went nuts when you showed up.
Well, I'll tell you, you wonder in our business, and I think we all wonder sometimes, hey, do you still got it? Do you know what I mean? No, because listen, last time I was on TV was I did Raw 1000 show in 2012. I mean, I've not even been on TV since. And you think 6 years later, are people going to forget how many of those fans are not even watching anymore, and all this other stuff? But, man, as soon as he said, "What a rush," that motorcycle hit, man, and Sean will tell you, it was freaking,
Oh, yeah, the place went ape shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like chant, and especially when I got up on stage, man, all the LOD chants starting out, and half those fans probably right there weren't even around when Hawk and I were on top going full board, So it was really cool to see, and you can't find any better place in Chicago. But what I loved about the All In show, man, is that those guys did it right. They combined guys that were in the legend status, like Sean was there and a bunch of other guys were there, Dallas Page and a bunch of other great guys from our era, and then some of the new guys, and they intertwined both the eras,
Yep.
And that is so important in our business. Too many times, I think the new companies get caught up with just wanting to put all the new guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but why do you think WWE is doing their thing you're doing in Australia? Pulling out all the stops. They got freaking Taker and Austin and Sean.
Yeah.
Because they definitely want that baby to be an all-out bust-ass show. They're not bringing those guys out of retirement or bringing them out because they don't want to. They're doing it because they have a have-to moment, because what's new is not as impressive as what was hot during the 80s and 90s. I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just saying, and Sean will tell you, guys from our era, a lot of us, the way we were on TV wasn't necessarily the way we were in real life but we can dig into that alter ego and make it believable.
Yes,
right?
It was something that was inside of us that was coming from an authentic place, regardless. Yes.
Exactly. Like most of my stuff that I dug down deep, a lot of people don't know, man, I grew up, I was born like with the first Rocky movie. Like I lived in the same neighborhood that was underneath those railroad tracks and in the inner city. Yeah. So and I lived there until I was 13. I could dig down deep a lot of my real life experiences, you know what I mean? And bring them out. And and so it made it easy to do my gimmick once I got older. And of course, all the years of bouncing and everything else didn't hurt either,
Yeah.
But I think you're right, Sean. Everybody's got that thing you deep down into to help the show sell out. And we were, and that's an art that I don't know. I think maybe because there's so many writers today, the guys can't. You don't have the ability to deep down in your own stuff. You're having to follow a script, right?
Yep.
And so sometimes the script's not written for your personality.
Yeah.
And I think you find that a lot with Roman Reigns. Some of the stuff he's told what to say is not really what a Samoan would say.
If you know, right? If you know Samoans, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. No, Samoans got their own way to go, their own language. I mean, man, if he would fly off the handle and start swearing in Samoan when he got pissed off sometimes, I think that would help. I'm just saying, what comes natural, don't second guess it, just go with it, And I think back in our era, that's what we were allowed to do. We knew our topics we had to hit, and everything else that was in the interview, we filled it in between by ourselves. Nobody had to tell us what to do. So that part, I think, is what I think our business, hopefully it needs to get back to, because, man, I think that entertains the people a lot more, man. It keeps people all interested.
Well, like the stuff that's going on outside WWE, guys are being able to cultivate their personas and build that stuff up on their own and do it kind of like they did back in several years ago. And I think that that how they're bringing guys up in NXT now is more like conducive to them finding themselves on their own a little bit more.
Man. Well, that's what I was saying before. How Paul needs a pat on the back there with NXT. That's more like an old school wrestling show.
Yep, and it's an hour, right?
What I mean?
It's like not too much,
and that's why the people are relating to it. They love that show more. I'm not dissing WWE. I'm just saying that's like the product. People love that kind of like Fight Club type atmosphere, and the guys really shooting from the hip and backing up what they say type of deal. You know what I mean? And I think that's what the fans, because everyday life is like that, is like that. You say something, you got to back it up, you got to stick to your gun, stick to your word, and that's just the way it's supposed to be, And listen, the wrestling business is always going to evolve, and man, I can't imagine how it would have been if Hawk and I had the avenues now to make money outside the ring as these guys got today. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because
I'd be on the beach on my own island.
Yeah. Well, because these opportunities are there for everyone now. You guys had to create your own opportunities outside the industry.
Well, not only that, Sean, we weren't allowed to do things. I mean, I remember I went down on audition for Bloodsport 2 and Rocky 4 and stuff, but I didn't. I was a main event down for Georgia Championship and the old WCW at the time. I couldn't. The business couldn't afford, or that company couldn't afford to let me take time off to do a movie. Back then, so we had to tell them, no thanks and no thanks, I can't do it, man. It's going to take too much time. I can't take 6 months off to do that for you. I'm sorry, go ahead, finish your thought. I'm sorry. Now guys have the opportunity, they can push somebody into that spot.
Yeah. I was just going to say,
hopefully it'll work and twist it around and do that. But back then you couldn't do it because there was only so many top guys to do that with in the company,
Yeah. Do you wish you would have actually taken a little time off and done that in retrospect?
In hindsight, yes. Because at the time I was young and we were just getting a big push, and I remember sitting there with Stallone saying, "Hey, can I have a part for my manager and my partner? Can they do something in it too? Because we're going to miss so much." And I think that kind of probably insulted them and cut my own throat a little bit,
Wow.
I mean, so listen, man, you learn by experiences in life. That's just.
You were just trying to hook up your boys. That's not way, man. That's a.
Well, yeah, man. I was just
honorable
trying to
thing
be
to
a
do.
true partner to my guys. You know what I mean? I was trying to be a good teammate. But it ended up probably cutting my own throat. But listen, it's not like we didn't have more success in the wrestling business, so it was okay.
So speaking of wrestling then and wrestling now, I want to know, why do you think wrestling stepped away from, quote unquote, having real tag teams versus two singles guys and throwing them together as they are mostly nowadays?
WWE, and Sean will tell you, was really never a tag team company, ever. I mean, they never were. They kind of were in the 70s a little bit, then they got away from it from like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Then they started putting the Hart Foundation together, and with DX, and then with the British Bulldogs. They had a little bit of run, and then it went and died down again. And then when we came in there again, started reviving tag teams a little bit more. It's always been more of a singles company, to be honest with you.
Yep.
It's just the way Vince likes to have it, and he's made most of his money in his career. And you can't diss a guy for that. You know, it's worked for Vince. Where other companies like NWA always was a big tag team company. You know what I mean? I think Hawk and I were one of the few, probably maybe the only one that was able to wrestle main events and all the companies being a tag team, because no other tag teams did that really. You know, we were the only ones that, you know, when Hogan couldn't make it, they threw us in the main event against, you know, someone else, to the Heart Foundation or something, to be the main event for that show, and to rely on it to be able to sell out that way. And of course, the NWA, we were always last match, you know.
Yeah.
Because we and they always want to leave the people really happy too. In different, you know, different companies look at the business different ways, you know. And I think, you know, listen, you got to give it your hats off to him. And Hulk Hogan was, I'll forever consider him to be the man. I mean, he put our business on the map. You know, and you know, and when people refer to Hawk and I as the Hogan of tag teams, man, to me that's one of my biggest compliments someone could give me, because I mean, Hogan was tremendous on changing his business to where it is today. Yeah,
for sure, you guys are to that. Absolutely, there's no credible argument against that, and not just like drawing power wise. Like, you guys were great in the ring, Joe. You know, you weren't like, you know, the rockers or I mean, obviously everyone knows your style in there, and I thought you guys had amazing chemistry with guys like different types of teams.
Well, we and that again is a testament to Ellering, you know, and working with our top guys. I guess we knew what our lane was. And I always tell this to people when I'm trying to do seminars, like, stay in your lane of gimmick. And we could stay in our lane of our gimmick, whether we were babyface, heel, no matter what we were, and we learned how to do that right away. And as long as the guys we're in the ring with were willing to work with us that way, we all would have a good match. Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny, Sean. You know, people always gave Hawkeye shit over the years for, the Road Warriors won't sell a few things. I said, man, go look at some tapes.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Go ask Billy Gunn and Brian James.
You sold for me.
To help them get over.
You sold for me, Joe.
I just watched RVD.
No, that's what I'm saying. We would sell for guys, especially if you're good guys and you're our friends, and we would do proper business. I mean, I don't think we won a match in the first, you know, because, you know, Hawk was getting in all his trouble all the time in WWE. He got suspended about 4 times in 1 year. Yeah. You know, and so, I don't think we won a match for a year, but it never hurt us because we would work with the guys, and a lot of the guys were our friends, you know. I mean, we knew how to make the Godwins be the Godwins. We knew how to make DX be DX. We knew how to, you know, and help guys out too, because, you know, we weren't going to get any more over than we already were, so it didn't hurt us. I mean, if you watch us against Earthquake and Typhoon, there's plenty of matches we don't do an offensive move for 15 minutes. And then when we did do it, it meant something, you know. So I think we had the ability to learn that quick and learn that by working with great guys who taught us that kind of mentality. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest false statements people could make in the wrestling. The Road Warriors won't sell you. Well, yeah. If you continue watching matches that were on WTBS, it looked like actually we were killing everybody. If you have any kind of talent at all, and you can't, as a heel, have as a heel tag team, have a great match with the Road Warriors, who people care about so much. When people care about you, like, on top of you guys were excellent in the ring, like, just the fact that people were so into you. Like, when I worked with you guys, all I thought about was I want to do classic Road Warrior spots from back when like, just the early days of running through everyone. That, and then we could figure out how you guys shut yourself down. You know, like, so we don't have to stop you. What made it good for that, Sean, is that when you're in the match with great heels, it's like, I use the old analogy as like chopping down the big old redwood tree. Yeah. Once that weakness or that Achilles heels is found by the heels, you guys were on it like stink on shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you guys were on it so hard and fast that it was believable when you're getting the heat. I mean, you guys had that ability. The Four Horsemen had that ability. The Midnight Express had that ability. And then we would sell it the proper way, and then by the time it was ready for the comeback, the people were there and ready to see it. You know, and that's one of the things we're able to do, man. But like I said, man, you're only as good as the guys you're in the ring with, and when they knew how to get the heat on you, but and you knew how to do stuff to make us be us, the matches were a piece of cake, really. And I think the biggest misnomer too is everybody thought people were really getting hurt.
Yeah,
Hawk and I very rarely hurt anybody.
Wow.
Yeah, but when I used to watch you guys on TBS, I thought, oh my God, they're killing those guys.
Well, we wouldn't really hit those guys with clotheslines. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
You mentioned
Ollie Anderson would tell the job guys on TV. I remember he goes, "Hey, listen, I'm going to pay you guys a little bit of extra because these two guys are going to come in there and really kick your ass."
Yeah.
And we looked at Hawk and I looked at each other and said, "Isn't this entertainment? I thought this was kind of fake,
Yeah.
And Ollie would tell us, be aggressive. And I said, okay. And you wouldn't have to tell us twice to do that, And you would tell us, and we would do it. And then the guy sold for us. I would tell the guy before the match, "Hey, listen, man, I'm going to swing that clothesline. You better duck, because if it catches you under the chin, I can't help what's going to happen to you."
You guys were multi-dimensional though, not just the big where you had to run through guys. You guys were great at having matches with other big powerhouse teams. Or for instance, you guys had a great match, and I think it was a Clash of the Champions from St. Petersburg, Florida, the Bayfront Center, you versus Sting and Lex. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
What a great match. You guys worked that brilliantly. Brilliantly.
I remember times when the first time I hit Undertaker with a drop kick.
Wow. Yeah.
People went freaking crazy. I mean, they were saying, "Wow, man, these guys can do drop kicks." Or when, the Samoan SWAT team would go to give us that
belly to
double
back
ass bump, and
and
I do that backflip behind and land on my feet and then hit him with a double clothesline.
Yep.
Just certain spots that really big guys never did at that time.
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, man, I used to dive in high school and stuff, or in college, or in junior high and high school. Maybe, I could do the flip around, land on my feet, and hit two double clothesline, and they would look at me like I was crazy. But then I would do it, and then it would work. And I said, damn, And I mean, we didn't really do a lot of high flying shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to do a cross body off somebody.
Stuff that made
like
sense.
But
stuff that made sense.
Yeah, just big guy stuff. I figured, well, man, maybe people might be impressed if a 320-pound guy can hit a guy with a drop kick, and not only that, hit him in the chops with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to hit a guy, I mean, believe me, you're drop kicking Undertaker, you're going straight up in the air because he's 6'9".
Yeah.
And so you got to. It's going to hurt me more when I land than it's going to hurt Undertaker taking it.
Mm-hmm.
But when Hawk and I started doing some of that stuff, of course, every time we would try and move like that, even our finish, the Doomsday, we tried it over in Japan first, and said, well, the Japanese boys live through it, the American boys live through it, no problem.
All right. Yeah.
Well, speaking of your time in Japan, what are your thoughts on the Japanese influence in wrestling today?
Well, bro, let me tell you, that Japanese influence has always been there. The only thing that's different now is today is there's different TV outlets for them to get over here.
There you go.
With the internet and YouTube and everything else, it started slowly creeping over. Now with Fight TV here on the internet, right? Everybody gets to be on TV. I mean, it just goes to show you when you sell out a place like Madison Square Garden in like 15 minutes for New Japan, it goes and New Japan always had a great reputation from the wrestling fans who read magazines of being the top company to go over with them in all Japan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those were always the two companies that everybody wanted to go over and work for. Fortunately for me, I got to work for about 4 different companies, or most of them was with New Japan and All Japan. So I mean,
how were those shows?
I think
I was going to ask. Sorry, how were those shows working for Tenryu?
Oh, for SWS?
Yeah, SWS, and then it was called War.
Yeah, man, yeah. Listen, Tenryu was one of the all-time top guys in wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think Hawk and I's last big match there together, we wrestled Tenryu and Hogan in the Tokyo Dome.
Tokyo Dome,
8,000 people and sold out, yeah. And it was a great match because you had 4 of the most popular guys ever in Japan all wrestling each other at the same time, Yeah. And it was really a kind of a cool thing. It was historic for me, but I was a mark for that match, I mean, that wasn't marking out for us. I was marking out for here I am in Japan against Tenryu, one of the top sumo wrestlers and pro wrestlers in the country, and I'm in with the top American single guy ever in the business, in the ring. You know what I mean? The only thing I regret with the wrestling business is Hawk and I would have loved, and we threw this idea around the WWF at the time, why don't you put us in a 6-man match with Hulk and take it around the country, you know? Because we would love to have been in a match with the Hulk as our partner. You know?
You never did that? Well, I'm going to tell you why Vince shied away from things like that, because I remember him saying so at one point. And it was the reason why he didn't like using factions, like, because we were on him about like doing our own faction, you know, like DX and all that stuff for a while. Like, but he didn't like to, he liked the main event to be just a singles match, so he only had to pay 2 guys.
That's true.
Wow.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, bro, let me tell you, I heard it 1,000 times on payoffs why someone else will be paid more than us. Or even merchandise. Well, I got to pay 2 you guys.
Well, if Kurt was telling you that, he was probably bullshitting just to stir the shit.
Oh, yeah, he was bullshitting to stir the shit. And he also told us, and I remember my brother even telling me this, my brother Johnny, no, everybody gets the same money percentage-wise from marketing around the horn. Then I found out later that was total bullshit.
Yeah.
Guys like Bill Holster and Bret Hart, everybody Austin all made their different percentages on merchandise. When you guys got to get the same as everybody else at 0.05%, at half a percentage, whatever it is.
Oh, brutal, yeah. Yeah, no, that was BS, because I'm not going to tell you what like the numbers ended up being, but they were like at least between 15 and like 25%.
Oh yeah, bro, and we were making half a percentage.
Yeah,
point.
No, we were getting wrong.
And I know for a fact all our merchandise sold for pretty close to hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, because you had the foam shoulder pads, and they were so cheap to make, and they cost a little bit of money.
I had them.
And you know, the horrible thing about that too is that I turned WWF onto that stuff. I mean, I knew the guy from Janko Corporation.
Right.
I met him on the plane, and I turned it on to Vince. And then Vince, this guy says he makes the belts for you guys. He can make a pair of foam over shoulder pads, and Vince loved the idea. And then we started going to town, and they're still selling some of those things that are rolling around out of the UK. Fans have bought, and they're selling them now. They're like $350. They're selling them online for.
Yeah.
But still, it was the point. You know, we always love to be businessmen like that and everything else, man. I tell you, bro, if it would have just been like you said, if we would have got treated like the top team or the top entity and been paid equally as good on merchandise and everything else, you wouldn't have seen Hawk go down the road he went down, and you wouldn't have seen anybody being unhappy at all. You know what I mean? You know this business, Sean.
Sure.
If you're treated fairly and treated what you feel like you're worth, there's never an argument.
Yeah, and part of that is just being treated with respect, and that like how you treat somebody like socially, but like the best way to show someone how much you appreciate them is by giving them a fat paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
If they're making money for you.
Yeah. Well, just to tell you how everything started off on the wrong foot. You know, we had that agreement with Crockett Promotions, and we were making good money there. And by the time we came around to go to WWF, we said, "Listen, we will come here. I know you don't do guaranteed contracts now, but let's shake hands. That we're gonna be able to make the same money when we come in here." And it absolutely shook hands.
Yeah.
Well, first year we made $100,000 less.
Mm.
The second year we made $100,000 less. Now, 2 years, $200,000 out of our pocket that we're looking for to be guaranteed money.
Right.
And that just sent Hawk over the edge, bro. It really did. I mean, that really stuck in Hawk's craw. Because we made a decision. We left our contract with WCW a year early to go over there, and then you get paid like that. And that ended up starting the bad attitude era with Hawk.
Bad attitude era, yeah.
And he just, listen, I'm a man's man. I'm not going to be treated like this. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. And it just started spiraling downhill from that point on.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, because that's like people don't understand. Oh, some people might think, oh, it's just $100,000 less. Well, because I mean, how much you must have been making? Only $100,000. Yeah, but when you're paying taxes on a certain amount of money you're making every year, and then all of a sudden you get $100,000 less, but you're still paying because you have to pay on estimates of what you made.
Well, you got to look at that too, bro.
Yes.
You get that money no matter what you're making, and that tax bracket you're giving 48% to the government, and then having to file your quarterly taxes on top of that and figure that out,
and pay in,
like you said, and everything else, and then Then when the money doesn't come in, you can't figure that out, and then your payments are off and your scheduling's off. It ends up being penalties for you. It's just a snowball effect how everything goes downhill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that you're not treated as an equal anyway because you're not the single guy, you know what I mean? So we weren't given the commercial end of things. We weren't given the marketing end of things. Or let's just say, you know how certain single guys always are on the promotional end of merchandise?
Sure.
Hawk and I were never on any commercial advertising or anything for products back then with WWF.
Like
right?
video game covers and things like that?
No.
No.
Even all of the games where people would play it and play a tag team thing and you can't get this until you beat everybody else, we were never on a video game cover, ever. You know, and which I couldn't understand why. Why wouldn't you? It's always a single guy on there. You never put a tag team on the cover, you know. Even when they did a tag team video game or video, we were never on the cover. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just, hey, listen, maybe we were just one of those teams you just forced to use us and you didn't like us, really.
I don't buy that, though. I don't, because I just think that, I don't know, he's just such a, I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that because it's a head scratcher for me. Hey, real quick.
It was a head scratcher for you. Can imagine us in the moment.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than a head scratcher for you guys. But hey, did you ever give Darso shit about the demolition gimmick? I always wondered that.
No, man. You know, people ask me about it all the time with demolition. I said, listen, both guys, Bill Eadie, who was a mass superstar, and
Awesome.
Barry Darso, I've known since I was 16 years old, is my friend.
Yep.
God, you know, Hawk and I were content in the Road Warrior gimmick that demolition wasn't going to bother us or our egos or going to get to us. We are actually two different styles of wrestling.
Yeah.
And just because guys, and I'm saying this not disrespecting, but just because guys, you know, paint their face and wear spiky looking vests or outfits on doesn't make them badasses.
Yeah.
I mean, and not that because we were made as badasses, but we were really pretty much a product of our environment. We were really fighters trying to be wrestlers, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, that's what we were trying to be. We were trying to, you know, be guys that bounced in bars that learned how to wrestle. Right. Which is different than two wrestlers trying to be fighters. If I'm explaining that right.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? I don't know But Barry was, Smash is a friend of mine.
Of course.
I didn't give a crap if I said, man, more power to you. I hope you become a millionaire off the gimmick.
Oh, for sure. I meant mainly just as a rib. Like, hey, man, hey, nice, you know, like, just, you know, that's
nice
all I
face
meant.
paint you got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, I tell you what, the first time when we got in the company there, we were hoping, and Barry and I talk about this all the time, of being able to maybe have a year or 2 year marriage with that, Sean. You know, I mean, people talked about that for 4 years. The Road Warriors and Demolition came into the Road Warriors getting WWF to get against Demolition. And the very first time we wrestled them, we beat them in 8 minutes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and I said to Barry, I said, well, now where do we go, bro? We just beat you guys.
Was Crush in on that?
Crush was a part of it because, you know, when we went in there, we originally helped the Hart Foundation beat them for the belt. So that was supposed to be the big angle for us to go off on our own. You know, that was one of the pay-per-views. So we did that. And Chris wasn't involved all the way, but he was involved a little bit.
Hey,
I think at the time, Crush was just a convenience for Vince.
Right.
Like when you put us together with the Ultimate Warrior, it was like a chance to put the third Demolition guy in there, you know, because Crush was kind of like what Droz was going to be with Hawk. You know what I mean? Crush came in because Billy was on his way out. He thought, and then he wasn't on his way out. And so they developed another third member of Demolition as safety valve and, you know, everything else. But no, it was pretty much Bill and Barry. But, you know, I was really disappointed when we went in there and we beat them right away because now we said, man, well, where's the angle we're going to do? And then pretty much right after that, they dismantled Demolition.
Hey, you guys, we're gonna have to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, what are your thoughts on Cody Rhodes winning the NWA World Title?
You know, I thought it was awesome, man. I think what it does, I think it gave the NWA title, which has been dead for a few years, some clout again. I tell you what, man, I don't know, Sean, tell you, behind the scenes, I was very, very impressed with the way Cody ran that show.
Yep.
He ran it like a total professional, man. He was calm, cool, collective. Nothing bothered him. He reminded me a lot of Dusty. You know, Dusty was always calm when he was directing TV shows and everything else, man. And it was a great. To be honest with you, I say it all the time. It sounds funny because I've got to be a part of a lot of things in this wrestling business, and achieved a lot of goals, a lot of things that guys like, winning the 3 major company titles. No one else will be able to do that again. And to be associated with that All-In show was really freaking cool. I mean, it's not just the way they did it, and how they got everybody involved, and just how professionally the matches were done. And the matches, 99% of them were great. Anybody that disses that show they may need to pull their head out of their ass.
Just sounded great. Yeah, you know what, Joe? I like how supportive you are of today's product. Like, and a lot of guys are going, "Oh, this shit nowadays." And yes, there's some things I disagree with, and I'm sure you do too. But there's a way of going about that and not and still be uplifting to the people in the industry now.
Well,
and
yeah,
you're doing that.
Sean, you know how I think things like, I'll even mention it, even with WWE, how you can get away from that shit and all the backstabbing and bad mouthing. Get guys from your and I's era in there, helping them in the office and with the booking and the matches, and get rid of the writers.
Yeah.
Now you have guys that, listen, I always say this. If you want to get to the Super Bowl, are you going to get some guy that's never coached? You're going to get Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Get the guys that have made it to the dance, that teach young guys how to get to the dance.
Yeah,
That's always been my philosophy.
If you never drew money, you can't teach someone how to draw money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. You got to have that ability to relate to the people, and I think that's one thing that Hawk and I were able to do. Man, we were able to relate to the people because we never insulted them in an interview. We always say, "Hey, man, we know what it's like. We're proud of you guys. We came from you people. You remember my interviews? I say, hey, you. Put down the bag of chips and the beer. I know what you're doing because I used to do it." Yeah,
yep.
You can relate to people in a sense where they can relate to you, and that's the main thing. And you're right. You cannot teach. One thing you can't teach in our business is charisma. You got it or you don't.
Yeah. Yep.
You're either born with that ability. But I think the guys that have made it to the dance, that know the charisma secret, that know how to do it, can see it in somebody young, where he could tell the boss of the company, "Listen, man, I disagree with you. This guy doesn't have it. He's not going to have it for right now. He may be okay to be a first match guy, but he's never going to be your main event guy to draw money." And I think that somehow is missing a little bit. But I'm all about helping the new product, man. I love going around the country. I give seminars all the time. You hear me talk about it on my Water Rush podcast all the time.
Yeah.
I love going and giving back to the business because I'm a coach at heart. Man, I coached all my kids, coached my son James, that made it to the NFL. I did all this stuff. My son Joe, my daughter Jessica, so I love that part of the wrestling business and of life. You have a coach somebody, see him succeed. It's just, I think more guys from our era, if they were given the ability to coach and turn back to help, I think you would see they would be willing to do it.
Yeah.
That was actually my last question to you. Your son James recently retired from the NFL. Did he ever seek you out for any possible career change into wrestling?
He really didn't need it, man. He made so much money, it's ridiculous. I mean, he made, the Rock type money in freaking football, so he really didn't need to go in the wrestling. And to be honest with you, when he saw some of the difficulties that I was having after Hawk was gone in the wrestling business and everything else, and not being able to go in there and be an agent and stuff, he goes, "I'm not putting myself through any of that stuff, Dad." He goes, "I'm seeing what you did." He goes, "I'm no way I'm going to go deal with that crap." And and I wasn't very vocal about what went on. He just saw the stress that they were taking on me and the toll it taken on me. And right now he's on the Big Ten Network every Sunday and Monday. He goes to Chicago, films the Big Ten wrap up at the end of the week, and he just told me today he's going out and doing 4 Fox games at the NFL this year with Tony Romo, and he's got his own ESPN radio show, so he's plenty busy now. He's retired, and he's such a smart, intellectual kid that his football knowledge, it's really easy for him to do that on TV. And he's good, proper English, speaks well, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. So, but don't get me wrong. Don't think he wasn't like a big kid like at WrestleMania as a grown man in college, hitting the ropes and bouncing off the ring when he had the chance to before the show started, because he loves the wrestling business. I remember the first time, if we got time here.
Yeah, we do, for sure.
We were at the St. Paul Civic Center in St. Paul, and I had James's hockey team down there. They were like 12 years old. And I'm backstage with Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the kids are in the ring. I brought them there a couple hours early just to bounce around in the ring a little bit. And he goes, Joe, your boy up there? I said, yeah. He goes, which one? I said, well, the one with the big ears and big feet, man. He's trying to grow into his ears and feet out there. He was like a baby Huey, James was at the time. And he goes, here, hold this. He gave me a spit cup, with his Copenhagen.
Yeah.
He goes, flip that switch. I flipped that switch, and Austin's music played. And Steve takes off running down to the ring. And you can imagine 12-year-old little boys in the ring when Stone Cold Steve Austin came down the ring. They're going, holy crap.
Yeah.
The only kid that stayed in the ring when Austin hit the ring was James. And without blinking an eye, Steve grabs James and says, James, come off the ropes, watch your stomach, I'll give you a stunner. And James in the rope, Steve kicked him in the stomach, boom, gave James a stunner, and James sold it. Then all the 11 kids jumped in the ring on Austin because now they were comfortable with it.
Yeah.
James did it, And it was just funny. But those kind of memories, man, I don't think Steve even knows what kind of lasting impression that made on, 12-year-old little boys.
I'm sure. Lifetime memory. Yeah. Yeah,
and
sure.
I always tell guys, I said, the guys in our business, most of them are big kids at heart, that for one reason or another, whether you got in trouble or you blew out a knee or something else, could have been a pro in other sports in this world, or could have been a college athlete, or could have been something different, or could have been a black belt in karate or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, for whatever reason, we couldn't do it, man. But the impression he made on my son at that point, and James talks about it to this day, it's just, that's the kind of guys we have in this wrestling business that I think behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know about us. They know that we're this big, burly, kick your ass and take names type people. But at the end of the day, we're people too that got families and kids ourselves,
Right. Hey, Joe, how are you enjoying being a podcaster? And where can we find that? And when are you going to have me on your show?
Yeah, man. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to Corey, who talked to Sean about that. Yeah, I said, man, when I saw you here this last event, I said, man, we got to have Sean on our radio show. But yeah, man, it's on One of Us podcast. It's on the Creative Control Network, and having fun doing it. It's kind of cool. I get to call my old buddies and talk about different things, and I find out on my podcast with the write-in email questions we got. Everybody wants to know what life was like on the road and how it was wrestling these guys, this guy, that guy, or whatever. And they like to hear about more or less the older wrestling stories than they do even about the newer products for some reason.
They sure do. Yep.
But I was lucky to have fans that crossed over 3 different generations. The young ones, the middle-aged, and the older guys. So it's kind of cool. I get questions from all over the spectrum.
Nice.
But it's pretty cool, man. I get to interview different people. I've had football players, I've had baseball players, I've had mostly wrestlers. But guys that really appreciate our business, as in a positive manner. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's pretty cool, bro. I like it.
Well, Joe, I'm so grateful that you took quite a bit of time with us today, even jet lag, just getting off a plane from Africa. So I'm really grateful for that, Joe. And is there any last thing? Where can we find you on social media before we go?
No, man, you can get a hold of me on my at Road Warrior at RW Animal on my Twitter, or at What Us Podcast, or my real name, Joseph Bornitis, on Facebook. Send me a message if he wants to get a hold of me for any booking dates or stuff like that, man. I'll answer you right back and stuff like that, man. But no, bro, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Sean. As always,
too,
man. Every time I see you, it's always a great time to see you, bro. You're one of the great guys in this wrestling business,
Thank you, Joe. And it was awesome to see you too, man. And you look amazing right now, by the way. I just wanted to say that.
Bro.
Yeah.
I just had my 58th birthday, bro. I'm getting up there in age now, but I can still go. But it's funny, with Hawk being gone, I just don't have any intensity to get back in the ring. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, I'll do it once in a while, but I like now at this point, I just like to see the fans, take pictures with them, and and let them put on the shoulder pads and let them feel what it was like to be a member of the Yellow D for 5 minutes anyway.
Yep. Well, Joe, hey, thank you again, my friend, and I look forward to coming on your show. Ladies and gentlemen, one half of the greatest tag team of all time.
Yeah.
Road Warrior Animal. Yeah.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Remember,
Yes. Thank you so much. Well, Jimbo,
Follow you on Twitter at The Real X-Pac.
Yes.
Please subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/X-Pac. We're at 800 subscribers. Get us to 1,000. We're doing a free pin giveaway.
Yep.
Sean will be in Saget, Illinois, Friday, October 19th for Glory Pro with Scott Norton and Buff Bagwell.
Yeah, Animal was just plugging that like earlier this week. I don't think he's gonna be there, but he's part of that promotion.
The Glory Pro.
Yeah.
Tickets at TicketWeb. Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth.
Awesome. And you guys can talk to me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo. Please check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo.
At Jay Quasto, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood every single week, and I'm filming my first comedy special Sunday, November 11th at the Brea Improv. Yeah.
At where? At the what?
Brea Improv.
Oh,
so if you want to
awesome.
go, free tickets, hit me up on social media.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We'll see. I think we're gonna have Scott Norton on next week, and we'll
Cool.
see you right here. How does that go again?
AfterBuzz
On
TV.
X-Pac TV. All right, I'm gonna try
All of
this
it.
again. See you right here next week. AfterBuzz TV, the Jericho Network, and Westwood One.
Boom.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at @TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.